Welcome to the Breaking News Bears podcast. I'm your host, Chris Capone, joined with my co-host once again, Evan Davis, and we are officially just over a week into the regular season of MLB. There are so many stories to discuss around surrounding baseball in the early goings of the season so far, such as the Atlanta Braves' early struggles, having their worst start almost in franchise history, tying their worst record since 1987. Just how much of a gauntlet the NL West is shaping up to be, with the Padres and Dodgers starting off their season scorching hot and undefeated, combined 15-0, and many different young players throughout MLB signing extensions, such as Jackson Merrill and Christian Campbell signing extensions on Wednesday. But first, Evan, I'll ask you, just how stressful is it being in the NL West as a Dodgers fan right now?
I know. How crazy is it the fact that the Dodgers are 8-0 and yet they only hold a half game lead in the division? It's look, I think it's I mean honestly I think it's sick. Like I think it's just that like it's pretty cool to already be this competitive and we're just a week into the season. But again, it's crazy. Like the team is 8-0 off to the best start by a World Series champion since like the 1933 Yankees, and all they have to show for it is a half game lead in the division. And this is what we wanted. And I think, when you look back at last year's postseason, I thought it, and I think a lot of people did, that whoever won the NLDS between the Dodgers and the Padres was more likely than not going to the World Series. And then winning it, you got to just see what happens in the American League side of things. But it's awesome. I really love it. I think it's pretty freaking cool that we look at the NL West top three teams and there's one loss between all three teams. Like people don't realize that the San Francisco Giants are 5-1 off to their best start since 2016. But it's masked by the fact that the Padres and the Dodgers just refuse to lose baseball games right now. I mean, at the time of recording this, the Padres are down 3-1 to the Chicago Cubs. But I mean, eventually a team's going to have to lose. But I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a real clash of the Titans up at the top. And like you bring up about last year, the 2024 NLDS between the Dodgers and Padres. Yeah, it seemed like that was really whoever wins that is going to go to the World Series and most likely win it, just because the amount of talent that both teams had and now and still do have. We talk about how the Padres didn't really make a lot of additions in the offseason so far, but Nick Pivetta in his one start has looked really good for the Padres.
Hmm.
Uh, and they still do have an incredible bullpen. Like
Hmm.
even after losing Tanner Scott to their rival Dodgers,
Hmm.
they still have an incredible bullpen that they have in San Diego. And
Hmm.
it's really fun to see that these two teams, especially at the top, and I know we talk about the Giants too, and how their success this season has been incredible as well. All five wins being on the road.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just the NOS has been such a gauntlet, and it really is taking, it's kind of different because I still think the AL East is one of the is the hardest division in baseball because 1 to 5 are all solid teams. 1 to 4 is all really good teams in the NL West, but the Colorado Rockies are just so they just stink. And it's just unfortunate that if they had a different team at the fifth spot in the NL West, I would be confident in saying without a doubt it's the best division in baseball. But
Hmm.
in terms of every single series between interdivision
Hmm.
is a heated race in the AL East, but
Hmm.
the NOS is very clearly up there as well.
Yeah, and to your point, like the Padres, yeah, they did lose a bunch of pieces in the offseason, didn't want to re-sign some guys. We know what's going on with ownership. But you look at Jeremiah Estrada, you look at Jason Adam, Robert Suarez, Yuki Matsui. I mean, Yuki Matsui didn't have a great year last year, and neither did Adrian Morejon. It's not like they were horrible. I think they were just mid relievers. But I mean, through these first handful of games, they've been pretty solid. And I mean, obviously, we knew what the Dodgers were going to do coming in to this year. I just think it's crazy that they're 8 games into the season and Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Shohei Ohtani have only played one game together. And
Yeah.
then the San Francisco Giants, I mean, credit to Buster Posey. He steps in, brings in Willie Adames, adds a veteran in Justin Verlander. But you're starting to see like Elliot Ramos really take over. Wilmer Flores quietly 4 home runs, 10 RBIs on the year. It's honestly like a pretty deep team. I know Willie Adames is struggling immensely at the plate right now. Maybe just some early jitters with a new ball club. But I think if this team is clicking on all cylinders, like they're a sneaky team, and I firmly believe whether it's the Giants or the Diamondbacks, I think the NL West is gonna have three teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's just it's such a huge disparity where these four teams, like, there's going to be a team that doesn't make the playoffs, but a team from the NL Central will. Like, it feels so
Or the
bad
AL
because it's
Central.
yeah, it feels so bad because it's like we talk about the Diamondbacks, like they're a team that's right now they're currently sitting out because the NL Central is just the Brewers have stunk it up. A lot of these
Hmm.
other teams in the NL Central are bad. The
Hmm.
Braves are 0-7. Like, there's so many teams across baseball right now where it's like everyone's struggling, and the Diamondbacks are in the fourth in their own division, and they're 4-3. They're above 500.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a slaughterhouse of the teams in the NL West. But speaking of the Padres and the moves that they didn't make, they did happen to make one move on Wednesday where they signed Jackson Merrill to an extension.
Hmm.
And it surprised us in class on Wednesday where you tapped my shoulder and you're like, Jackson Merrill signed an extension. What was it, 9 years, 131 million or something? Or
136 million,
136 million?
escalators up to like 200 million.
It's still an insane deal that yeah, he signed it that early and buying out a lot of his arbitration years and won't be a free agent until he's 30.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, if you're the San Diego Padres and you're consistently talking about money being an issue, like congratulations on this contract.
Yeah.
Or 135 million is the deal, and there's escalators that can, take it all the way up. If I'm Jackson Merrill, I'm firing my agent because I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, honestly, and look, I get it. You buy out 4 years of arbitration. That's cool. But the way that contracts are going right now, why sell yourself short? And look, I get it. If someone came up to me and said, "Hey, look, here's 135 million, and if you do X, Y, and Z, we'll take it up to 200 million," I would probably also sign that contract. But I think if I'm Jackson Merrill and I'm his agency around him, like have some belief in yourself that you will succeed and that you will be one of the best all-around center fielders in the game, especially being a center fielder where we know it's a prime position. $20 million, especially living in California. I mean, I don't know if I really love that for him because you're already talking about losing half of that money to taxes. And then you got to pay your agent, and then you got to do this, and then you got to do that. So at the end of the day, like when we look at this from the side of Jackson Merrill, this $21 million a year, when it's all said and done, is probably going to be around 7 to 8 million that he takes home with him, which is great money. But that's still like, if I'm him, I'm not worth only that much. Like, maybe if it was like a 6 year deal, I could totally see that. But then the fact that there's also a club option tied to this at $21 million when he's 32 years old, I mean, the Padres would be stupid to not pick it up. And then you mean when he's 33, he's going to get another big ticket? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at what Jackson Merrill's done already so far in his career, and granted it was just 1 year, but second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Paul Skeens, ninth in MVP voting in the uh, NL, and
Mhm.
also winning a Silver Slugger his rookie year, being an All-Star his rookie year.
Hitting
He's on this
417.
he's on this insane upwards trajectory as a player right now, and
Yeah.
he kind of bought in too early. I feel like if he waited a bit more, waited till he was think about it. What if he waited until he just went through arbitration normally, and got to be around, until he was 25 and then got to be a free agent around then. He could have been making around Juan Soto money if he was able to keep this trajectory going up.
I, I would say Juan Soto money is a
500
reach.
million. He could have
He would have been 27 years old when arbitration ended. I would think maybe 500 million, maybe like 400, but again, like we're talking about he could have like 2.5x what he got on this current contract.
yeah, like I'm just saying if he was able to keep this trajectory up
Hmm.
and you know, obviously if he was MVP nine his rookie year, Silver Slugger, All Star, all this 4.4 WAR,
Hmm.
uh, and if he was just able to keep building on it each year, I feel like eventually he'd have one of the highest contracts in baseball, being around that 500 million area. but
hmm
he bought it into it early, and now he won't be afraid until whenever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, again, I hate the
even with the
Padres.
escalators.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the Padres as an organization, but like this is a great deal for them because
Yeah.
it's a team where we don't know what ownership's going to look like in the future, and we don't know how much money they have. I mean, we'll get into it with the whole Braves situation, but they didn't even have enough to give Jerks and Profar. Maybe they knew that this was a potential thing that was looming on the horizon, but man, Jackson Merrill, especially being in California, like if he was in Texas or even in Arizona, one of those states, Florida, I mean, the Marlins and the Rays can never do that. But like, you get what I mean? Like a state where there's no state income tax or very low state income tax, or we're talking only like 3, 4%. I could get behind this contract, but you're in California, which is the second highest, if I'm not mistaken, right behind New York, the second highest state income tax. So now you're losing what, like 47% of your contract before you even get it.
Yeah. It's super early for him to make that decision, but obviously you want to take the money as soon as you can, but I thought he could have got a lot more
hmm
eventually.
hmm
Um, But yeah, I guess moving on, we can talk about the other rookie, or now he is a rookie that signed a long-term extension. Not even a full week into the majors, he signed an extension. Christian Campbell signed an 8-year deal. And that's doing things right. 22 years old, signing an 8-year deal already off the books,
hmm
with no experience. It's different than what it was with Jackson Merrill, where
hmm
Christian Campbell had a week in the majors
hmm
and ha has guaranteed money now.
hmm
Because that's something a lot different where you don't know what he could end up being. But eight
Yeah.
years, 60 million with the 2-year team option, and 33 and 34. Damn,
hmm
2033 and 2034. That's crazy. We're gonna be unk status by then. Um,
I know, you're like, remember when we were talking about? I mean,
yeah.
yeah, this is basically like the Jackson Chorio contract that the Milwaukee Brewers signed him to last year. And I mean, Christian Campbell looks pretty freaking good out of the gates. But again, I'm more curious about what happens next season for Christian Campbell, because how many times have we seen a rookie break out? Pitchers are kind of learning, where can I throw the ball? What's this guy's zone? And I'm more curious to see what he does next year. I think that would be a proper valuation, of his contract. But if you're the Boston Red Sox, I mean, they've really struck gold. When you look at this contract, I don't necessarily know if I love the Garrett Crochet contract. Maybe we get into that. I don't know, but this one nonetheless, Christian Campbell. I mean, he's slugging the ball already. He looks to be the future of the Boston Red Sox. You look at the Red Sox and their talent, and yes, they did give up a lot in terms of trading for a guy like Garrett Crochet. But the fact that they were able to keep players like Christian Campbell and Roman Anthony and Citadine Rafaela, and you have all this young talent. We've been bashing the Red Sox, and rightfully so, for the last handful of years because of their horrible decision making. But this decision right here, I mean, it's looked pretty solid. Campbell's batting 400 through 25 at bats. I know it's a small sample size, but 400 with a 1300 OPS. I mean, that'll do for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, and this just goes to show this never made sense for them to say they were going to play Bregman at second and Devers at third. That never made sense, especially when you had Christian Campbell waiting in the wings at second
hmm
base. And we see the fruits of their labor right now where,
hmm
yeah, this never made sense at all.
Yeah, and you look at it, I mean, this is a beautiful contract because if you're, a pending free agent, let's say in 3 years from now, when Christian Campbell's an established 25-year-old, 25, 26-year-old, okay, now you have Christian Campbell on a cheap contract where he's only going to be making just under 20 million a year. Go sign another big dog. Like, go find another big fish
Yeah.
to pair with Christian Campbell because we know how hard it is to find an elite level second baseman that has contact and power. A lot of them second basemen are just defensive guys where you're slotting them in your 7, 8, 9 spot. But if Christian Campbell could be like your 2, 3 hitter playing second base, making very good money, the Red Sox could, potentially win a couple division titles here in the future if Christian Campbell still progresses and Roman Anthony still progresses and all these other guys still progress. Brian Bayo when he gets to be up in his 30s, like who knows what this team can do?
Yeah, they really put a good investment into their future. It was a really smart decision to sign him early and sign him when he's young before he, can eventually start to make a lot more money.
Yeah.
You see how, like were just talking about with Jackson Merrill, for one more year, Jackson Merrill got more than double the amount of money that Christian Campbell is making. So it's a really good deal for the Red Sox. Really, like seeing their
Hmm.
investment into the future makes a lot more sense, especially and playing for the right now, getting Alex Bregman. It's a real good way to transition from when that Bregman contract starts to, you get to the end of it and it doesn't look as good.
Uh-huh.
If there's any regression or anything, you still have these young guys waiting in the wings that can make an impact, and they're starting to make an impact already.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mo-
and I wonder there's one team I think in Canada that's kind of waited a little long to sign a big free pending free agent. Can't remember who.
Yeah, yeah, and it would have made sense to sign him after his big breakout year, but
Yeah, I mean when he hit 40 home runs, I think. I don't remember. I don't remember.
48,
Yeah,
almost
something
hit
like that.
50 in a
Uh,
season, and then
uh,
I don't want to sign him to anything. But yeah, moving on, we'll talk about the Atlanta Braves and their big crumbling to start to the season. 0-7, one of their worst starts in franchise history. Uh what an insane, I mean, obviously they did have to play the Dodgers in the last four games, and that last game against the Dodgers, he had a Muncy two-run double in the eighth, and then Ohtani obviously walks it off in the ninth. Or it's just everything's going bad for the Atlanta Braves
Well,
right now.
something about the Dodgers and being down 5-0 recently, like that's like their sweet spot apparently.
Yeah. It's just what they do now.
Yeah,
It's
give
give them the handicap, and that way then they'll start leaning forward and playing with the and using their controller.
yeah, then they'll actually turn things around. But man, what to say about, the Atlanta Braves? And I saw people on Twitter being like, yeah, the Atlanta Braves are 0-7, but the 7 games that they've lost have been to the Padres and the Dodgers, and they're 15-0. And I'm like, yeah, but you know why they're 15-0? Because they've gotten to play the Atlanta Braves for the
Yeah.
last 7 games between the two of them. I don't think it says much about the Dodgers and Padres as much as it says about how horrible the Atlanta Braves are. And you look at it, their batting average leader is Marcelo Zuna, who's batting 188 on the year. 188. Now he's a 552 OPS, or not OPS, on base percentage, because the guy just loves to take free bases. He already has 13 walks through 7 games, but walks aren't going to win you anything if the guys around you can't hit the ball. I mean, you look at it, and I don't want to hear about, oh, well, bat BIP or whatever the hell that stat is. I don't even know what it means. I don't care that they're getting 108-mile-an-hour outs. It's still an out. You look at this offense, Austin Riley's batting 111, Ozzie Albies 185, Michael Harris 160, Matt Olson. God, he's been god awful to start the last 2 seasons. He's got to pick it up. And that Sean Murphy trade, let's talk about it. The Braves got fleeced. I don't care. Like the fact that you gave up William Contreras. Like, has anyone heard of Sean Murphy in the last year and a half? He's
Well, he's
just
been out
been,
this season,
well,
but
yeah, he was out a good chunk of last year. He's out again to begin this year. And Braves Twitter, which I don't know how I'm glued to, is all like, oh, well, we can't call this a fleece because Sean Murphy's injured. Yeah, but William Contreras is tearing up the baseball right now in Milwaukee. And that was a big piece that you kind of maneuvered around to eventually bring in Sean Murphy.
yeah.
And it hasn't worked out. And Brian Snicker just seems like he's done. Reynaldo Lopez is done. We don't know when Ronald Acuna is coming back, and when he does come back, I mean, he wasn't great last year before he got hurt. He was also kind of struggling. We don't know when Spencer Strider's coming back. Chris Sale looks great at times, but you could tell like the age is kicking up because we've seen in his first 2 outings by the sixth inning, he's done. Like it's not
Yeah.
that same Chris Sale that, and obviously we didn't expect him to win the Cy Young again this year. He is 36 years old, but you could tell that they're not going to get that same level of dominance as they have before.
Yeah, and And just another part of how bad everything's been going, Jurickson Profar gets suspended for the season
Hmm.
and or not for season, for 80 games, but he can't play in the playoffs if the Braves end up making it. Uh it's just everything's been
Baby
going bad.
steps.
I've seen Braves fans saying like we should be able to send him back to the Padres. It's like no, you think this is the first time they've done a drug test on him since he signed with the Braves? No, they did this probably recently or during spring training or something, and it just got back to them. It, everything's going bad for the Braves right now, and
Hmm.
it's seeing them really struggle this badly. Every like literally, like you said, they have no one batting well on the team right now.
Hmm.
The only person batting or not batting well, but getting on base is Marcell Ozuna from the Braves.
Hmm.
Um,
Ozuna from
but it's like, yeah, there's literally nothing they can do
the.
until the until Acuna gets back, Strider gets back, everyone gets back,
Hmm.
healthy.
Hmm.
You lose Profar now and you have to call up Alex Verdugo to play minutes. And it's like everyone was making fun of Verdugo for signing with the Braves, like basically at the end of spring training. And now it actually is really good that they actually signed him to to their minor league team because
Hmm.
he actually is going to get a chance to play. At least they'll get have
Hmm.
someone in left field. But it's just an
Yeah.
insanely bad situation for the Braves right now. And this always happens. Last year we were talking about it, how their
Hmm.
offense was in a really bad dry spell for like big chunk of the season right before the
Hmm.
playoffs. And then that's what ended them, having a premature exit.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Are
No,
you
no,
good?
no, I
Oh,
was
okay.
done.
Yeah, and one thing, like, shame on Jerks and Profar for saying, "Oh, I didn't know that I was taking a PED." If you look up how this drug gets into your system, you literally have to inject it into your arm. Like,
Yeah,
how do you, like, it's a needle that goes into your arm. Like, what do you mean you didn't? It brings into question, was he on this last year? And I think it's a fair question to ask because you look at like this unexpected breakout season. I mean, he only signed a 1 year, $1 million contract, and it wasn't because every team was, lining up at Profar's door waiting to sign him. He was a highly touted prospect that had been horrible throughout the year. All of a sudden, 2024 comes, he hits 280 with 85 RBIs, like 25 home runs, and that's like a complete
yeah.
outlier. Like he hadn't even sniffed 70 RBIs since 2018. And then 6 years later, you're telling me when he like all of a sudden he just starts mashing the ball. Like something did not make sense. He went from being a 240 hitter to almost a 300 hitter. You can't tell me that he wasn't on this last year. And I just think to be cowardly and say, oh, I didn't know I was taking it, like bullshit, you didn't know you were doing it. Like, if people have Google and see how it gets into your system, like, it's not that you ate an apple and the
It
apple had this
was
drug.
laced.
Like, yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know, but again, the Braves, I know they say no team has ever made the playoffs. Oh, and starting the year 0-7, but the fact that there's now three wild card teams, could we see the Braves make it? I personally don't know. I had them being a wild card team coming into the year, but the way that I view the Diamondbacks, and now that we have to view the Padres, like I don't see how the Braves can really like they're already digging themselves into such a deep hole. I mean,
Yeah.
the NL, the National League isn't the time to start a year 0-7 and have all of these injuries come into play. And even if you do, like Profar's not going to be able to play in the playoffs. So like you're not even going to do much.
Yeah. And this isn't the AL Central where all the teams are under 500 by
Well,
two
you could be
games.
0-7 and you'll be a half game out of first.
Yeah. But yeah, this is one of the worst times for them to do that, especially in a tough division as it is.
Hmm.
It's not looking good for them. I mean, tough division, I say, but the Mets and the Phillies are the two tops there. The Nationals and Marlins aren't really up there, but Marlins
Yeah.
are above 500. But yeah,
Marlins
uh,
playoffs?
but yeah, I don't know. That wouldn't be. It's a really bad start for the Braves, and it just shows that everything's been going wrong for them over the past year now. Like
Yeah.
it's been a slow decline. You trade William Contreras in that big deal that sent a whole bunch of people around to get Sean Murphy, and he had a great first year with the Braves, hit below 200 next last year. It wasn't healthy for half the season, and then
Yeah.
this year hasn't even played yet.
And he's because he had another setback, and then you had to bring up Drake Baldwin, and Drake Baldwin, it's a tough spot to put him in, the catcher for the Braves,
Yeah,
because like you need some time to marinate here. Like Drake Baldwin first needs to learn how to be a major league catcher, and then he can worry about the hitting. Like this is just a tough spot to be in, especially when no one around him is doing anything. But yeah, like to your credit with Sean Murphy, 148 games the year before he gets to Atlanta, then it's 108 games, then it's 72 games, now it's 0 games. Like
yeah,
it's catching up to him, and
unintended.
it, look, we know the Oakland A's are cheap, but did they see something that the Atlanta Braves and that the fans of the MLB just didn't see?
It's one of those things where we talked about before with like people like Adley Rutschman, where playing a catcher all the time, even on DH days, it doesn't help them as much. Like
Hmm.
even if their bat is really good, it's not great for them in the long term. And you see this constantly now with
Hmm.
teams being more cautious on how they play their catchers because it's already such a laboring position to be kneeled down for almost the entire game. And more people have tried to make it uh, on one knee and make it easier for the catcher, but it's still a very difficult position to
Yeah.
play for 9 innings every day for 3 hours. And then making them DH doesn't really give them a true day off. And
Hmm.
that's kind of the thing with catchers. I can't really put too much faith into catchers unless you're a Hall of Fame talent like Salvador Perez, who's been doing this. But even Salvi's had his down years.
Hmm.
So it's something where the Braves kind of are screwed now,
Yeah.
where yeah, they have great front office where they can, get these deals done and have cheap long-term deals on some of their stars. But it's been an insane run for them where they're 0-7 now, and it's things are looking bleak.
Yeah, and like just, to wrap things up here, you knew things weren't looking bleak when Brian Snicker brings Raisel Iglesias for a 5-out save on
Yeah.
April 3rd. Or wait,
It was
yeah,
a, it was a must-win game yesterday.
like we're talking, did they play yesterday?
No,
Yeah,
April 2nd, April
April
2nd.
2nd. I forgot the Dodgers had the Dodgers have the day. Yeah, 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 I'm sorry, April 2nd. Like we're talking about a 5-out save on April 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, just throw in the towel already for the season if you're that
Yeah.
desperate. Like, and I get it though, because it's like, well, what else is he supposed to do? Like, the team needs to win a game, but the team's put him in a spot where he has his closer out for a 5-out save, and we're not even in July.
Yeah. Not even in May. We're barely into April.
We're barely into April.
This isn't even like an end of April thing where it's like,
Yeah,
okay, everyone in the pen's tired. No, this is April 2nd.
yeah.
Yeah. That'll just about do it for this episode of Breaking News Bears. Once again, I want to thank my co-host Evan Davis, and I once again want to thank you guys, the listeners, for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe to another episode of Breaking News Bears.